Hi, everybody. It's me, Kristen Muse, and today I'm going to show you how you can start Jammin with Jamboard. So, for those of you that don't know, Jamboard is part of one of the Google apps that are part of the Google Suite that you can use to enhance your instruction in the classroom. If you are using Google Meet as your learning platform, I will show you how you can just embed these into your Google Meet. If you're not using Google Meet, don't worry, you can still use Jamboard with your students. So basically, before I get into how to use Jamboard, I'm going to let you know what Jamboard is. So Jamboard is basically an interactive whiteboard that you can use virtually with your students. You can add different things to it. You can add text. You can add sticky notes where you can get students to be a little bit more interactive, especially for those of you that are teaching virtually. I like to use Jamboard with my own students. Right now in my school, we have kind of all models going on. So I have some students who are learning fully remotely at home and they join the class each day using Google Meet. I have some students who are hybrid where they come to school part of the week and then the other part of the week they're home and they're joining through the Google Meet. And then I have some students who are with me full time. So running all three gamuts of these different learning styles is very difficult. A lot of times what I will have my students do is I will have them all join the Google Meet. So whether you are home or in school, you're on the Google Meet and then they can participate in different activities like this. I find that my engagement with the students that are at home increases with the use of Jamboard. Aside from it being a new tool to use, they like the interactivity that they have with this. It will allow you to give feedback. It will allow the students to give feedback to you. The one hindrance for Jamboard is you only can have a total of 20 slides. So when I'm giving you some ideas of how to use this in your classroom, just keep that in mind, especially if you think of wanting to have some sort of a project that the students are working on or an activity where they're each getting an individual slide. You may have to rethink that and rework how you're distributing certain Jamboards. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to get to your Jamboard. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so we have our Google set up right here. And if you don't even know how to do that, let me backtrack for you so you know where you're going. Okay, so this is just a Google tab that is up here, right here. I just want to move this out of the way for those of you that like to see me. So what you have your page open, and then when you come here, this is called the waffle. You're going to come here, and then you will see all different Google apps that you can use. If you scroll down, you will find the Jamboard one right here. So what you would do is you would just click on that, and any of your recent jams, as they call them, would come up on here. So I don't have too many on this account. This is my personal Google account. Um, so this is the only one that I have right now, but this I'm going to show you in a minute as to how you can use this. Now, I'm just going to show you some things over here. So when you click this will tell you about Jamboard. If you need any help in terms of using their privacy. This lets you know who it's owned by. So if you have a bunch of jams on here, let's say that somebody shared a jam with you, that would be oh, excuse me. That would come up when you have owned by anyone or not owned by me clicked. Ones that you have created yourself would be ones that are owned by me. So for those of you that have a bunch of jams, this is just another way to filter through so that you can make sure you have an easier time finding what you need. This will refresh. So if somebody did share something with you, but you're not seeing it in here right now, you can just click this arrow, it will refresh. And this will sort. I do suggest not having an untitled jam. I would suggest having some sort of a title for anything. Not only will it make it easier for you to be able to locate, but especially when you're distributing this to your students, if you're choosing to do that, it's easier for them to locate as well too. And then this would just be how you want to see your jams. You could see them in grid view or you can see them in row view. and that would change depending on how many you have. Now, if you want to use Jamboard, you would click down here where it says New Jam. And when you click this, you will see different options that come up. Let me just move this out of the way so that you can see things over there. Okay, so it's empty right now. This gives you the freedom to do whatever you want for this. Now, because I am a teacher of science and you're a teacher of science, I'm going to give you some ideas to use for your science classes. Obviously, you can tweak these, use them with whatever subject area you would like to use. I don't have any templates for these right now. But if you are enjoying this and you would like me to create some templates, you can write that in the comments. And for those of you that don't know, when you're on my email list, the first Friday of every month, I send out a couple freebies that this is as a tremendous thank you to you for staying with me on this crazy teacher journey. And it's a way for me to give back to you so that you have different materials that you can use in your classroom at no cost at all. So if you do like using Jamboard and you feel that there are certain templates that you would like to be created, throw those in the comments. And I'm thinking for my one of my March freebies, I think I may have a couple templates in there for you. Okay, so right here, this is where you would title your jam. So I'm going to title this vocabulary. Make sure you spell it correctly. Okay, so now we have this on. Obviously, for whatever your unit you're doing, you may want this to be a little bit more specific. And then you have the opportunity to use any of these options right here. So this is the pen, and this you can use your mouse, or you can just touch this and you'll see that everything comes up. I don't necessarily like that, so I'm going to use the next one, which is the eraser, because I do feel like it's just not as neat. I can't write very well with my mouse or with my finger. So I will show you in a second. I mean, very broad stroke. And you'll notice above here, right over here, while I'm erasing, it says 1 of 1. So when I was telling you that you can only have 20 slides, that's where I'm talking about. So whatever you're making in here would have to be less than 20 slides, which is a little bit of a hindrance, but it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, you have an arrow if you want to go in there and tweak anything. This is something that my students like. I'm going to get to this in a second. I'm going to pop down here to the text box. So the text box here, I prefer to use. It lines everything up nicely. You have the different sizes. So you have display, and then we can say, I'm working on a magnet unit. So where is this going? You already. Okay, and then you can just move this and you will see that it will be up there. You can make it nice and neat. You don't have to go crazy with the Jamboards. The ones that, as I was saying this earlier, the ones that I've been using with my students, I just make pretty quickly. I don't have too many thrills and spills going into it. It's just something like this. I throw up there and then we just use it and interact with it. And the students are completely fine with that. Okay, so we have magnet vocabulary. And then what you can do is you can just write different terms on here. So let's say I'm going to do domains. Oh, for this, I'm going to, I have a habit of always capitalizing the first and second letter. Okay. So we have domains, magnetic fields, and then over here, we'll put magnetic. Okay, so you can have the magnet vocabulary, any different vocabulary words going on. And then what the students can do is once you share this with them, they have the ability to now add to this. So for those of you back in well, it's not that far long ago, but a year or two ago, there was a program called Padlet. This is very similar to Padlet, where it's interactive. You have something on here, and now the students are able to add to this. So for domains, they can write this sticky note and lined up. They can write more, but and then what you'll see is the sticky note goes here. This sticky note can be moved around. Um, so you can do this a couple different ways. What you can do is you can have the terms down here, distribute this to the students and let them move it around, or just have it like this, how I set it up, and then the students can come in here and they can write what they know about domains. Um, only mag. They can change the color to whatever they want. And again, it's going to go on here and they can move it around however they want. And then when you're going over this, they have the ability to do this too, but you can make ones bigger, you can make them smaller. So if you have students that answer the question, but maybe the question isn't accurate, you can make theirs a little bit smaller and make the correct answer stand out. So it has a pretty cool, that interactive feel. So now if you want to add another slide, you would have this one here. And now let's say that you're starting your magnet unit and you want to assess what the students know about it. So I did this we were discussing force and motion before the winter break. Some of the schools in the Northeast, we get the February week off. So before that, we were discussing force and motion a little bit. So what I did was I made the slide, I had force on it, and then I asked the students to just add in whatever it is that they know. So we're kind of having like a brain dump, a brainstorming session of anything that they know about this topic. And they could use the text boxes down here. This is laser. So this is if you want to um, point something out. So if they have something on here and you think it's accurate, or if there's a misconception that you want to point out, you use the laser and then as you can see, it disappears. They can also add images, which I like using this for my students that are struggling learners. They can add an image. So maybe you don't really know much about the topic that you're discussing. You can come here and go to a Google image search, type in magnet, and then you're going to get superheroes. Oh, because I see why. My spelling is way off today. I apologize. And then they can just click on here and insert it. And now they're able to participate too, because you can go around or you can show them this, maybe not the first time, but then let them know if you're struggling and you don't know what to put on, then why don't you just add an illustration? And then this will, by having all of the students brainstorm together, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what they know. So that could help you with your teaching, whether or not you're going to need to really stay on a topic or not. Another way you can use Jamboard is you can take polls in the classroom. And this is where I like to clear up misconceptions. So in one of my science classes, we were studying the sun. A lot of the students did not realize that the sun is actually a star. So what you can do is you have your line here, and you can do, this is yes, this is no. And what you can do is you can ask questions and then have the students put their sticky notes. They can write their name on it, or they can just, oh, if you want, I don't really like them using fake names because then it gets a little out of hand. But you can have them put their name on it. You shout out a misconception, have the student move their post-it to either yes or no. And that can also help you with determining where you're going to go with your curriculum. Sometimes you won't have this. This will allow you to know that you don't have to stay on a topic for as long as that you thought. Sometimes it lets you know, oh, I really need to hit home on some stuff. I know in a couple science groups that I'm in, I've seen this a lot, is students and some adults still think that that blood inside your body is blue. And that's, because you're looking at your veins, it's blue. So that's like a huge misconception that we want to clear up, because somewhere along the line, for the adults that heard this, somewhere along the line, somebody told them that, and it's something that sticks. And it's something that kind of would make sense because when you look at your veins, they're blue. Why are they blue? which would lead you into discussion as to why they're blue and what is the function and the job of a vein. So this is a really cool way to, just clear up any misconceptions. You can also use this at the end of your lesson as like an exit ticket. Ask the students a question about something that you were teaching that day. It could be a question that maybe it's a statement where it's an accurate statement or it's not an accurate statement, and then the students have to choose where they're going to go. The only thing, obviously, with something like this, because it is interactive and it is live, yes, you are going to have to worry about the students that are struggling, that just see somebody in the class moves their post-it here and they're all going to want to do that. So, that you wouldn't want to use this always as an assessment, but I do think this is something that you can add to your bag of tricks that will keep engagement high. It's something that also, I didn't mention this before, but Jamboard is free. So you don't have to worry about paying any sort of subscription or anything like that. For those of you, I was talking about Padlet before. Padlet was free at one point and then they started charging. So then they lost a whole bunch of customers. So I like finding free tools for teachers and for myself to be able to use in the classroom as just tricks that you're just pulling out every now and then. Another way that you can use this is as like a brain dump. So you can have your topic here. Let's say we're discussing the human body. We have human. I don't know why. I think because I'm making the video. So like really you're discussing the human body. Maybe you're discussing functions of the human body and how it helps maintain homeostasis so that we can survive and live healthy lives. You can have students kind of do a brain dump where everybody's just giving an example of how the human body is taking care of itself. Maybe they don't know the word homeostasis yet or what that word means. So you want to introduce that to them. This is where you can kind of get them to list everything, and then you can talk about, oh well, human body getting rid of waste, that's one way it's maintaining homeostasis. So you can kind of hit home with a topic like that, again hitting on a vocabulary word that the students may not be accustomed to. And then another way, before I take up your entire night or day depending on you're watching this, so let's say we have a plant cell. Now, you can add this to the Jamboard prior to giving this to the students. I'll take this one. I would probably look a little bit more, but just for time's sake. So we have our plant cell here. A really cool idea is to get the students to remember the different parts of the cells or maybe how the cells work together to make this plant cell work efficiently. You can have them label the different parts of the cell. And what you can do is use the pen feature, and then you can just point to some of the different parts and ask the students to label them. And then, what you could have is you could have, for some students, you could have the sticky notes that they can just move to answer the question, or you can make the students answer that themselves. So that would be up to you. You could just keep them over here and then the students move them. Or for students that are a little bit higher functioning, they can just look at this, maybe consult their notes, and then have to come up with that on their own. And then also when you have a picture like this is also where the laser feature comes in handy, because now you can see, okay, let's talk about the nucleus of the cell. And you're highlighting it here. You may want to be very aggressive like that, depending on your students. So those are a couple different ways that I either have or would use Jamboard in my classroom. Now, what you can do ahead of time also is you can make your own templates if you choose to. So let's say you're studying force and motion. You want to talk about the different types of forces. You can make a template on either Google Slide or on PowerPoint. And what you would do is you're just going to open up I don't want to open up another one because then I'm going to forget to delete that. You just have the slide here. So if this slide was in here, this is your first one. You just put whatever you want on here, and then you go to File, Download, and you're going to download it as either picture image. A JPEG and a PNG are both picture images. So that's what you would download them as. And the same thing in PowerPoint. You're not changing the side of this slide. You're keeping this the same because these dimensions will work with Jamboard. The only thing you want to do is when you're done creating it, you're saving it as a picture image. So then what would happen is you would come here to where it says set backgrounds, and you can see you have these other backgrounds. So if you are teaching, you could use this if you're teaching science and you want the students to make a graph. You have the graph paper here, which is pretty cool. You also have this if you just want to change things up. You have the blue or you have the black. And then this last one here is where you can add an image. So you would go to browse and then you would have your images. I'm going to go back to my jams because that's where I had that. Let me get out of here. I'm just going to and keep that open. So I'm going to open this up. And you saw where I had my jams here. So this is another way that you can have the students collaborate. This is part of my women's research project for Women's History Month. There's all different women scientists within that package. So what the students would be doing is they are going to research Ada Lovelace. So they're finding her date of birth, death, her contribution to science, and all of that. You can upload the 20 different slides here. And then the students, I don't have all of them uploaded here, but you can assign one to each student so that when everybody is done, then you have a little slideshow of the jam. And you can also see that up here. Okay, so that is one way if you want to make this more collaborative, or if you just had a template that you made yourself. Maybe you have something, a graphic organizer or something that you already have created. You could just save that as a picture image and then just upload it here. And then to save it, what you would do is you would go to share, and you would change this to anybody with a link, and then you would copy this link, and then it would also depend on what your learning management system is. If your learning management system is Google Classroom, I don't use Google Classroom, but they may have a way to add this in. I have to look. I'll put that in the comments because I'll look after this. And then I also wanted to show you, if you are in a Google Meet, I'm going to try to start a Google Meet myself. I'm going to start an instant meeting. Okay. So I have my Google Meet. Oh, is this? Because I don't think I'm on my school account. But what you would, yeah, I'm not, because this doesn't have my school account stuff. But if you on the Google Meet, for most school accounts up here, it's like a triangle, circle, and square. You would click that, and then there's a whole bunch of options that you're given. The options include, like, you can turn off the chat for the students. You could pin certain students and things like that. And then there's also one to start a Jamboard. So you can start it through here also. I will try to make a screencast of that later if anybody has trouble locating how to do that. So let me get out of here because it's kind of weird. I'm looking at myself from all different angles. Okay, so that is a little bit of how you can get Jammin with Jamboard. I will give you a couple more tips and ideas as I continue to play around with Jamboard. Like I said, I do think this has a purpose in the classroom. I definitely think that it's something that you can use with your students. May not be something that you want to use every single day. I think with any sort of tech tool, the students kind of get a little sick of it. But I like this just to add a little bit of engagement when you're teaching. And it's fairly simple. Sorry. Like I said, my students I haven't made any of the pretty templates yet. I didn't have time to do anything like that. As I'm preparing my future units, I probably will make a template or two, especially depending upon what we are working on. I know, as I said, I'm working on revamping my magnet unit, and I know the cause and effect is a big thing for NGSS with the use of magnets. So I may make like a cause and effect part. That way I have the generic ones. I can use it for magnets or for any other topic. So I may do that, and I will definitely share what I have with you guys. But if you have any questions, please ask in the comments. If you want to know more about Jamboard, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Have a great day, guys.